Hi, I hope my video meets you well. It's good to know that you are seeing this video at this time. I really want to say that I appreciate it. I just want to use this medium to get something off my chest. Something happened recently, and I seem to know a lot of people that have been dealing with this particular situation. You see, this is a period where a lot of Africans see reasons to, find their way back to their roots, back to their culture, and try to take necessary steps to heal their family, to heal whatever has been wrong, because a lot of damage had been done while people were transiting to religion. A lot of damage was done to the culture, and a lot had not been gotten right about our lives, our purpose, our destinies, because sometimes on the other side, there's a whole lot of information that might, not get to people, because truth is religion does not really tell you the entire truth about yourself as an African. But that's not the purpose I'm making this video. The reason I'm making this video is that I know that there are dubious people everywhere, including African spirituality, right there in your village, those you think you can trust. You really, you get to find out you cannot even trust them. Some of them are even elderly, and you think because they're elderly you can trust them. You realize that you cannot even trust them. And it's sad that a lot of young people are making sacrifices, trying to do everything to fix what is wrong. And sometimes it costs money. Sometimes it costs a lot of money, at least a lot of money to them. I think it's rather sad that sometimes a job that should be done with maybe 20,000, somebody would bill the other person 250,000. And I feel like even if you want to bill, much more than you should, at least get the job done. Because it's sad to see that sometimes people are overbilled and the job still, they don't still get the job done. I'm glad I'm not calling out anybody, but I want to believe that we all have a conscience, but some people have smeared their conscience. One thing I'm glad is that we are not all Chukokike. There's a God Almighty, there's the Creator who is above all. No matter what you are, no matter where you feel like you get your whatever from, there's a God, the Creator. There's an Almighty, who watches over everybody and is, watches over all the affairs of all men. That's something I'm always glad about. But then it's unfair because you see, there are people who have paid a lot of money to get a particular job done, and it's a very important job at that. They've done that job like 4 times, 5 times. They paid money all those times to different people who just do rubbish for them. I know sometimes I don't get it. Is it that they don't know they cannot do that job? Is it that they don't know they are not qualified to do the job? You know, why take the money, sometimes even overbill the person and still not get it done, or they end up doing nonsense, and these people still need to get this thing done. That's the problem, because there are some things that are very important that you cannot do without them. So because it's very important that you need to get it done, they still have to try to raise money to get this thing done. Sometimes they pass through 5 different or 4 different dubious people before they eventually get it done. It's not fair. Honestly, it's not fair. I know a lot of us, have been religious. A lot of us have been in church and other places, and we don't know a lot about, traditional practices and how certain things should be done. But it's not an excuse to continue to take people's money, knowing very well that you are either doing rubbish or you're not even doing anything at all. It's not fair. I know that you also know it's not fair even though you do it, but sometimes I don't know if they all forget that there's God. I wonder where their conscience is. I don't know if they also don't remember that there's consequence for every action. It's crazy, man. Sometimes even those you don't expect to do that, they're actually like that. And it's crazy, like I said. Odikwama. Hmm? Odikwanuma. Odimma. Some women know that there are jobs that they are not supposed to do. It is meant for men, but they will take your money and they know that they are not meant to do it, so it will not work. Some men know they're not supposed to do that particular work. It's something a woman is supposed to do for you. They will take the money and they just waste your money and your time. Odimma. Odimma. Let's please grow some conscience and remember that there are consequences for being unfair to people or being wicked to people. Odimma. For real. Somebody just has to say it. It's not good. And it's discouraging for those who are trying to find their feet in African spirituality, those who are trying to come back to, the ways of their ancestors. It's discouraging for them. Very discouraging. Because when, the only facts, the only truth I see here is that, like I said, there are dubious people everywhere. And you may never know, especially when you're not so properly informed, right? It's when you probably have dealt with some of these people, you're now able to know your left from your right, and you're now able to sieve. And when you hear something that doesn't seem right, you would now know. So you can be in a position to either argue, refuse, or defend, depending on what the situation is. You just don't take in everything they tell you. So I wouldn't say that's how they are, but I know that there are good people, there are sincere people, there are real people who are called and they do this work well. And then there are some who are just in for the business, like you have in other places as well. And they take your money, even though they know they cannot get the job done because they're just in it for the money, you know. But what goes around comes around, and karma is real. Yeah, so everybody keep doing what they are doing, but I pray that our ancestors lead us right, so we don't continue to waste our resources before we get things done right. But then like I said, as long as you're new in the game, this is for people who are newly finding their what's their path to the ways of their fathers, to African spirituality, your people's tradition and way of life. You might become a victim to a few of some of these dubious people. Don't be discouraged. I know it's hard. I know it's discouraging. I know you might want to just decide not to do what you're supposed to do, but what has to be done has to be done. And don't worry, God is going to lead you and guide you to get it done. All right? It will happen. Don't be discouraged. Just pray for discernment, and as you go through these things, learn the lessons, so that when you see people like them, you recognize them, you understand, you recognize when they are lying to you, and you can stand on your ground and say, no, I'm not going to do this one, I'm not okay with this one, this is how it should be done, and then you insist. Okay, and if your spirit is not comfortable working with a particular person, then don't go ahead. One other thing I noticed is sometimes there are patterns in which your spirit is talking to you when your spirit is trying to prevent you from doing something. Learn to understand that pattern and just follow. So that once you see that sign, you understand this means don't go ahead. And then you take a pause and not go ahead, and then ask questions. What should you do next, please? Send the right person or people to me that will get my job done, especially if you are called, to the spiritual path. There are certain jobs or works that you have to get done, and they are necessary. You must do them because in this part, you don't cut corners. You just have to go through the process. So even if you make a mistake and you get cheated, so to say, while trying to find your feet, sadly, it's the story of a lot of people, but you will eventually find your feet. You will learn and get better for it. Don't be discouraged. It's just what I thought I should say.